Hey, what's cracking, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to round one of my very own RedEyes $450 Dead in June tournament qualifiers for Group B, brought to you by Hunter of Gunmen, Glacier Gaming, Crafton, and Lightspeed Studios. And we have got an heck of a match for you guys today. We got 3 rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy coming your way. But first and foremost, for those of you who aren't quite acquainted as to who I am, I'm RedEyes, your ever-lovable and adorably cuddly caster, bringing you that daily dosage of butt-kickery, tomfoolery, and all-around shenaniganism. And we do have a stacked lobby for you today, boys and girls. We got Butterfly Effect, 412 Nomads. We've got the likes of Wanted Vigilantes, Third Eye, Try Us, Gucci, Zero Remorse, Exceed, Lotus Esports, Team Rio Latin America, Rising Legend, The Rude Dudes, Excuse, 10IQ Esports, Sacred Lotus, Just Esports, Region 8 Eagles, Nucleotide Vendettas, The Fierce, and Tiny Fan Club. So I'm expecting nothing but action right off the bat. And as I said, we are kicking things off with, you guessed it, Erangel. Now, what do we need to say about a map like Erangel? Well, essentially, it's basically the off-bred love child of Sanhok and Miramar, because it really is the perfect middle ground between those two extremes, which does leave it fairly reliant upon the flight path to determine what sort of early game we actually end up getting. But here you can see it. The participants are left with a very centralized flight path. Not perfectly central by any means, but close enough to a lot of major cities and compounds that I don't think that they're going to be too pressed for resources here. But let's go ahead and get into the thick of it. So, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to round one. If you're just now tuning in, we have got a pretty, I'm going to guess, a bit of a slow start here. And the only reason that I say that is just due to the convenience of that flight path. You know, we're going to be dealing with large maps here. It's just the nature of PUBG. And large maps are going to be 2 out of the 3 that we're working with today. So there's going to be bits of downtime. So while we're just getting into the things, let's go over the format as it currently stands. And just get a little acquainted. So we got 20 teams competing here in these qualifiers, and of those 20 teams, 4 teams will advance to the $450 finals. We run 3 rounds of qualifiers, so that's 12 qualified teams, plus the 8 invited Tier 1 professional teams, where they all duke it out on the 28th for that $450 prize pool. All right. So, taking a look-see at the map, it looks like we already have something to keep an eye on here. It looks like Lotus Esports, not very far off in, or pardon me, this is not Lotus. It's going to be the Tiny Fan Club. Rude Dudes, my apologies. Lotus was there and then ended up migrating a little bit more eastbound, and that's understandably so, as they're just trying to get looted up at this stage. You don't want to be engaged into an altercation without the proper resources necessary. Another potential thing on the board I'm noticing is on the alt view here. So let's go ahead and get that up. It looks like, yeah, it was members of BE, the Butterfly Effect, not far off from an opposition of, looks like Team Rio. Yeah, yep. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like I had a freeze on that iPad. But everyone's still just trying to get properly looted here, and as you can see, Zeus is no exception, but he does find himself readily equipped with that UMP 45 Honey Badger combo, and that 7.62 in a close range can be a very formidable threat, especially considering how close the opposition is actually getting. Another potential thing to keep an eye on is going to be a little bit further north. With a member of Excuse, it looks like Draco is just falling shy southbound of Nucleotide Vendetta, and that could very well lead to an altercation down the road. However, as we know to be the case of a large map, you zoom in, you see there's a little bit more space than you initially anticipated. As my buddy DKZA says, objects may appear larger than they actually are. All right, so I think for now we will stick with this right now. But while we have it, just to go over some a little bit of finer points, we are going to be updating the scoring system. We actually have updated it several months ago to reflect the current PMPL and professional official scoring format. So what does that mean for the participants itself? It means that eliminations are going to be placing a much higher emphasis than before, and the flip side of that coin is going to be that placement is less emphasis. So, ideally, you know, as we are 5 years into PUBG Mobile esports, you don't really want to see too much downtime, so you want to see an elevated level of gameplay and altercations. And I think that at this stage, the participants and the community in general is very capable of it. So yeah, I think no reason for any needless stuff. Oh, Yusuf! Oh my goodness, the 412 Nomad's running right up on Rosh of Excuse and facing a world of hurt as he takes both of them out. 1v2, easy claps. And that's going to leave Slay 99 and Bubba remaining. They just lost half of their starting lineup right off the bat to some heavy hitters that go by Excuse. All right, what else is happening on the playing field? Doesn't look like a whole lot else. Again, I do need to refresh that iPad map. My apologies. I'll do that right now. Yeah. So, yeah, it does look like further up north at the Yasnaya area we have... Oh! Slay wastes no time and gets a hold of a member of Nucleotide Vendetta, and it's going to be Axar being taken right out of the equation. And in that case, it was a 1v2 that he was not quite prepared for, understandably so. But again, you know, 5 years into PUBG Mobile esports, the only thing you can really expect is to expect anything. Predict the unpredictable. Well, I wouldn't say that Slay and Bubba are necessarily out of the line of trouble here. They could still potentially have another threat remaining and looming, and that is going to be from the remainder of Nucleotide Vendetta, specifically Marioso. However, Marioso does find himself at a point of vulnerability, just kind of sitting out in the open field with this tiny shack, these four walls of providing some false sense of security here. And I think that he made the right call here in bowing out and just reuniting with his teammates, regathering their resources, and just trying to get some placement. Now, while I say placement has less emphasis than previously, and I should say less than the previous scoring structure, that is not to say that it's without purpose. All right, speaking of purpose, we got Lotus Esports trying to find their purpose here as Grandson drives right around members of Team Rio Latin America, just doing some scouting, relaying the info back to his home base, and I think he got all the info he needed right there. So, realigning back with his teammates, that does leave us once again with just that little bit of a spread. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, you know, spreads are just a nature of the large maps of PUBG Mobile. It's to be expected, it is part of it. But further up north, we actually are seeing Third Eye preparing for an altercation in the dead zone with the opposition in Rising Legend. So I think I'm going to get both perspectives here. I don't think anything else is happening on the playing field at the moment. So while we have a brief moment, you can see in the alt view that L Knight is just holding position in this compound. I think he's all too aware of Third Eye. I think his third eye is pretty much open at this point. But you know who would be more in danger is his teammate. What's his name? And I do apologize. If anyone knows how to pronounce that name in chat, please do let me know. Oh my goodness. What? What is going on? Just like a Ford quadruple backflip or something? Someone did a perfect backflip on a bike the other day in the previous qualifier. I mean, you guys are getting pretty good with these stunts here, but I don't know if it was intentional, but I'll play it off like it was. Give you the benefit of the doubt. Well, no time to waste. We're going to go back down south, check in on members of the Rue Dudes. It looks like they could be preparing for a little love triangle here with a couple other teams. One of which actually, as I say that, I think I find myself a little bit incorrect right there. It's not going to be the Rue Dudes. That's a little bit of a colorblind aspect. That's going to be the Rue Dudes right here. They're the ones closest to the northbound threat of TRL. TRL is Rio Latin America, but only one person there remains, and that's going to be Danny's. So, yeah, I don't see it being too much of a reason for him to engage with it. He doesn't really have the manpower for that far away from his teammates. Not going to get a lot of assistance there. So I don't think a lot is going to happen. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go elsewhere and check in on... Oh, it looks like Excuse is having at it in the distance. Let's go have a look-see. One of the Kais goes down, but luckily his other teammate Kai comes and retaliates quickly. However, with very little health, he finds himself ganged up on by the remainder of Trias, just working their way around. And I think they're going to come in and try to secure some easier kills. Understandably so. Yeah. Things are looking good for members of Trias. At this point, Excuse, the two-piece of Excuse that's here, is done for, dead in the water, and out for the count. Let's go check in on the potential altercation in hand between members of 412 Nomads and Gucci Esports. Now, keep in mind, 412 Nomads have been reduced down to half their starting lineup. We saw Kax and Yusuf be eliminated almost at the start of the match, and that means that, these Nomads are going to have to absolutely change up their strategies, change up their format, dial things back, not necessarily to a passive gameplay, but a more reserved style, to say the least, if they want any shot at advancing to these $450 finals on the 28th. Catching eyes on the Wanted Vigilantes, a team that really should not need any introduction. This is a Tier 1 professional org team, phenomenal group of players here, and absolutely a probable reason to be intimidated in this qualifier. You don't want to find yourself up against these Tier 1 pros too early on if you are underutilized or under-equipped. Well, as y'all can see here, it doesn't look like a whole lot happening on the playing field at the moment. But you know what I always say, ladies and gentlemen, is a more passive early game always is going to directly translate to a more action-packed and climactic mid or end game, so it's going to be worth the trade. Well, as many of you may know, the boy is stuck right here, dead in the water. As many of you may know, we are giving away 600 UC codes every single match of this month. So, I don't want to waste too much time here. With that being said, let's go get into the first UC code of the night. Alright, finding it. So, code number 1 will be redeemable at the link that I'm going to pin here at the top of the chat feed. I guess I'm going to make sure that I pin this first beforehand so everyone has a fair shot, as fair as possible of a shot. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. There he is. Pinned and copied. All right. First UC code of the night, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the delay on that. Let's go ahead and get it. It is CKEQZLDZQ98. First one to redeem that at the link pinned to the top of the YouTube chat will get 600 UC sent to their inbox immediately. Now, if you're watching on Twitch, please be aware that I am trying to promote this as a YouTube event. So that means that after round 1, I am going to be moving this stream exclusively to YouTube. So it is in your best interest, if you want to watch the event, to go watch the remainder on there. All right, codes, no need for that anymore. I think that it's going to be redeemed at this point. So, we got Rosh of Excuse just laying waste to the opposition, and Exceed, he's got multiple members injured as well as one of them knocked. This is all at the hands of a 4x UMP combo. A lot of people have been saying, that this UMP is only good for close range, but I keep arguing that, it's actually a little bit better than just that. It can even be effectively applicable at mid-range, probably the lower end of the mid-range, but still. All right, we're hearing shots off in the distance. I'm not sure where... Oh, yes, I do know. I'm going to get it up on the alternate feed here. It's members of the Region 8 Eagles facing off against members of Sacred Lotus. Not a lot of connecting damage being dished out. However, Nami of Region 8 did take a knock. Luckily, with some assistance quickly provided, he is back on his feet and ready for more. However, as we saw previously, the crew in Excused is in the thick of it. So we're going to go... Oh, I apologize. Excused looks to have been eliminated in those brief few moments. So elsewhere, we see members of Region 8 finishing off that looming threat. Going to check in on members of Lotus. It looks like Rezo has taken a tough fall at the hands of a member of Tiny Fan Club. But luckily, Tiny Fan Club keeping their eye on the prize, not trying to be any sort of vulnerable and running out into a field for a thirst. They don't need it that badly. So they're going to just use that opportunity to rotate into zone. And I pretty much agree with that. So where is the next looming threat going to be? Where's our next bit of action and blood going to come from? Prediction, I'm going to say potentially there's a love triangle in the making here in the Yasnaya region. And that would be between Wanted Vigilantes, Third Eye, and members of Rising Legends. Now, if it's going to happen, it could take some time to develop, admittedly. So I think in the meantime, since I started speaking about that, members of Tiny Fan Club have come northbound in a rotation towards... Oh, yep, they're going to be facing off as we speak, actually. I'm going to switch into Tiny Fan Club, which is taking such a rough hit. It is an almost immediate squad wipe at the hands of Butterfly Effect. Butterfly Effect showing up in full form. Kubi, Cloudy, wasting no time. EBK trying to get a utility onto his fallen teammate, trying to cover him up as best as possible, but with very little time remaining to stick this revive, he has not a lot of options and not a lot of time to make something happen. And you can hear those footsteps just getting closer and louder, and yeah, that bush is burning, baby. EBK has become a candle and quickly falling down to the Butterfly Effect. A butterfly flaps its wings on the first floor, and you get clapped on the second. All right, going to switch our attention a little further westbound. It looks like members of Third Eye up against the looming threat of Zero Remorse. Zero Remorse still going to have to be a little bit careful because their back end could get third-partied by members of Trius. Just something for them to be on the awares of, as well as Tiny Fan Club. The same thing that applied to Zero Remorse will also apply to Third Eye in pertinence to Tiny Fan Club being right behind them. Lots of potential altercations in the works here. It looks like the final member of Lotus has been eliminated. So this is going to be the closest thing to an altercation currently on the field. This standoff between Third Eye and Zero Remorse. But, well, we have one more bit of downtime. In case you're just now tuning in, actually, no time to waste. I hear shots. Yep, it's going to be from Zero Remorse firing behind him at that third-party threat from Trius that I was just mentioning earlier. All right. Now, once we get a little bit further back here, you'll be able to... Oh, my goodness. We got so many things happening on the board. No time to even really get into this map view. We got a couple things happening. We got members of the Nomads in a love triangle. Yeah, you know what? We'll go to that on the main. Let's just go to it. Actually, pardon me. It's not the Nomads. It's the Rude Dudes in the love triangle with the Nomads and Gucci. As you can see, Matrix has been taken down. A thirst is soon to follow at the hands of Zeus, as to be expected. And just like that, they acquire their very first kill of the match. And pretty desperate for it at this point because they've already lost a member. I have another teammate knocked. Pretty desperate for some points on the board. But we're also seeing a little further westbound a potential threat here between the likes of Exceed and Just Esports. Nades have been thrown outwards. A little bit of a going by sound more than sight approach. And it does not really pay off there. Not any damage dished out. However, off in the distance, we can see one of Vigilantes holding a gatekeep on the northbound threat of Rising Legend, and that spells a lot of trouble for them. However, it looks like they may have even just finished what they needed to do there, so that is going to leave them, yeah, they're going to go ahead and secure that new positioning, and I agree with that as well. Speaking of new positioning, we see Lotus already in contest station with Gucci Esports, luckily holding a bit of a high ground Overwatch advantage here. But still, going to have to utilize a utility here for cover. And that brings me to a great point, ladies and gentlemen. When compound cover and geographical cover become few and far between, that's when it really comes down to having those utilities come in-game. They can be the absolute difference maker in life and death. And Adrian retaliates and is going to be able to potentially get a revive on his fallen teammate Known. What a clutch save there by Adrian of Lotus Esports. All right, another fight already in the board. It's going to be members of 10IQ facing off against Trias. Trias really more preoccupied with establishing a rotation into zone, understandably so. But we're hearing shots elsewhere, and that's going to be from Butterfly Effect, firing at who we were just talking about. And Kubi actually facing a little bit more trouble than he's able to dish out, and just swallowing the bullets and quickly eliminated to follow, leaving Cloudy as the last cloud in the sky here. It is a clear forecast, and it does not look good for him. But the Tiny Fan Club in a bit of a conundrum as well. It's all down to Bubble. His teammate Treble has been knocked. Luckily, Bubble isn't without hope. He's got full health and a DBS, the Close Quarter Combat Annihilator. Ever since that recent buff to the DBS, it has been very much a new meta for CQC. All right. Well, they're not out of the thick of it yet here. As you can see, they still have a couple threats on actually all four sides. Luckily, their northbound threat in one of Vigilantes is going to be a bit more preoccupied with the more immediate opposition in Just Esports. However, look at this. The Butterfly Effect is going to have to deal with one of Vigilantes right here and now. Icy and BQWI have been eliminated, or at least knocked, leaving Chopper as the last one running. And boy, that is a quick end to that. Quickly switching over to what remains of Butterfly Effect, which, as we said, is Cloudy. He is going to be getting that new positioning. Not very safe, though. Switching over to members of one of Vigilantes. Oh, boy. Just dishing out the damage, but getting a little retaliation served onto them as well, which is going to reduce it down to Anders, and Anders alone here. And, boy, is up against multiple members of Tiny Fan Club, outnumbered and outmanned, outgunned, and case in point. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the end game of our first match. All right, Nucleotide Vendetta's final hope, Kabir, currently pinched, sort of, here in between members, the final member of Butterfly Effect, Cloudy, and multiple members of Team 10, Exceed Esports here. And that is going to really be a bit of a problem here, because he's finding himself outside of the zone as well. But look at his saving grace showing up in the form of 10IQ, coming in and taking the attention away from him from members of Exceed. However, this threat from Butterfly Effect, the last member there, Cloudy, keeps the pressure on him by making it rain a little bit of hellfire with that nade. Guys, we've got 5 teams remaining. It's going to be a 3v3, v2, v1v1 to end round 1. Oh! That is a 10IQ member going down. That's going to leave it on Addict and his other remaining teammate here. Oh, Trouble is down! It's down to Bubble. Can Cloudy pop this Bubble or not? Well, Bubble's also got a threat behind him. Not before being able to get the elimination, though, but I still think that noise was basically a honing beam, a beacon in the sky for the remainder of the playing field. Luckily, circumstance just so happens to have it that Exceed is getting everyone's attention with this aggressive drive around. Kabir avoiding it thanks to that utility, another great resource example, but an elimination added to the board, and then, boy, the bubble has popped to you, as a matter of fact. Guys, we got 5 people remaining spread across 3 teams. It is the final showdown. Exceed, Tiny Fan Club, and 10 IQ. Let's get it. Oh, Trouble Rex Roy out of the vehicle just before he was about to be hit. Well, that's going to leave it on what's his name. Oh! Well, you can't forget about Trouble, because Trouble did not forget about you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, any way you look at it, that's got to be game over. But what a match it was. The Tiny Fan Club putting up 15 kills, ladies and gentlemen. Count them up. 10 of those 15 kills going to Bubble alone. That is a serious message to the rest of the playing field saying, you know who we are, and we mean business. We're taking it seriously. Let's also give it up to the silver medal second place winners. We got Exceed grabbing silver with 7 kills. Not bad. Pretty evenly distributed. Almost perfectly evenly distributed. 10 IQ, able to grab the bronze, but remember what I said. The point structure has changed to prioritize eliminations over placement. So while 10 IQ is going to get some good points here for round 1, it isn't going to be as beneficial as you might think. And for example, let's look at 4th place, Nucleotide Vendetta. While they, don't have that 3rd place placement points going in their favor, they do have 8 eliminations, and that's probably going to put them right around or just above 10 IQ in terms of overall points. Butterfly Effect, got to give it up to him as a 3-piece coming in and putting up a healthy number of kills and decent placement. 5 eliminations and a 5th place finish. Wanted Vigilantes, again, a well-known tier 1 professional threat. And they're acting like it too. They got a 6th place finish with 7 kills on the board. Try Us, in 7th place this time around with 4 kills. 75% of those kills came from Emoji alone. 8th place going to belong to Just Esports with all 3 kills coming from ICT. 9th place going to go to the crew in Zero Remorse with 1 kill from Caleb. 10th place is going to belong to the boys and girls in Lotus with 7. Ironically, 6 of those kills are between Adrian and Known alone. Well, the third eye got closed in 11th place today in round 1 with 2 kills, 1 to Chief, 1 to Peaceful. Gucci in 12th, and it is not all Gucci. 12th place is not going to be enough to advance, especially not with only 2 kills. The Rude Dudes in 13th, and they are only going to have 1 kill, and that's at the hands of Bangu. Members of RSL, this is Rising Legend in 14th with 1 kill from Knight. We got the crew in the 412 Nomads grabbing 15th, but with 3 kills to their name. Lotus Esports operating as a 3-piece, 0 kills on the board. This is a little confusing. So, all right, I see what I've been doing. My apologies, sincere apologies to the Fierce. There's Tiny Fan Club, and then there's the Fierce. Tiny Fan Club's tag is actually Tiny, and the Fierce is TFC. But the confusion is, the mistake, I guess, was right there to be made. But I won't be making it again. The Fierce in 17th, but with 0 kills to speak of. It's going to have to be a pretty impressive performance in rounds 2 and 3 if they want to even have a remote chance at advancement at this stage. We got Region 8 grabbing 18th with 2 kills. 19th going to Excuse with 4 kills between Rosh and Kai. And 20th place is going to go to TRL. This is going to be Rio Latin America. And unfortunately for them, a big onion as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's just one match out of the way. We still have 2 rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy to go. Now, we've seen our participants on the very first map ever introduced to the game. That's Erangel. But as I said, it's the very first map, so it's the one that our participants should be most familiarized with, most synergized, most rehearsed on, and most acquainted with. But what's going to happen when we take things to a different geography? I am, of course, speaking about that dry, open, arid desert of Miramar as we return for round 2 of 3 of my very own RedEyes $450 Dead in June tournament qualifiers for Group B, brought to you and sponsored by Hunter of Gunmen, Glacier Gaming, Lightspeed Studios, and Crafton. Stick around. We'll be back soon. Oh, hey there. Welcome back, everybody, to round 2 of my very own RedEyes $450 Dead in June tournament qualifiers for Group B, brought to you and sponsored by Hunter of Gunmen, Glacier Gaming, Crafton, and Lightspeed Studios, and we are kicking off round 2 as you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, the wide open arid desert of Miramar. Now, what are we going to need to say about a map like Miramar? Well, essentially, it's the largest map that we have in the game. Technically, Erangel is the same size, being an 8x8, but that includes Erangel's bodies of water. So realistically, this is going to be the largest map that we have, meaning that the odds of two teams landing next to each other just going to be a bit slimmer. But it's also the most open map that we have in the game, and that means that the odds of you being, sniped from 300 meters away just exponentially higher. So you need to be aware of not just your immediate, but your distant surroundings as well. And the third and final thing I want to say about Miramar is that the map is so large that it finds itself almost entirely reliant upon the flight path to determine what sort of early game we end up getting. With that being said, let's see what we're working with. It is a perfectly centralized flight path. Our participants are blessed by Pub Jesus for sure. And they are left with nothing but options in terms of early drops. Now, what does that mean for us, the viewer? Probably a higher likelihood for a slow start, just due to the sheer size of the map. But you know what I said, in round 1 applies here too. A more passive early game is always going to directly translate to a more action-packed and climactic mid-or-end game, so it's going to be worth the trade. But while we do have a brief moment, I think while everyone's getting situated, we'll go over the format one more time. We have 20 teams competing in these qualifiers, and of the 20 teams, 4 teams will actually advance to the $450 finals. So that's 12 qualified teams over the 3 qualifiers to join the 8 invited Tier 1 professional teams, where they're all going to duke it out on the 28th for that $450 prize pool. All right. Well, looking at the board here, I think we are going to go check out what's happening on the western front here. It looks to be members of Lotus dropping nearby 10 IQ. Gucci and Tiny Fan Club having at it with one another as well. Let's go quickly switch out to the action right here. Yeah, it does look like Excuse is having at it as well. So even though we had a higher likelihood for a slow start, it is not always the case. Remember what I said in round 1. The only thing you can predict in PUBG is unpredictability. All right, well, we are going to check out both fights here on the board. We got multiple things happening. Elsewhere on the eastern portion of the map, just outside of the zone, we got the 412 Nomads trying to hold off the immediate threat of Excuse Esports, and I think we saw on the kill feed that they were already able to get one member taken out of the equation. So let's just have a look-see. Yeah, we see Kax here holding position, and oh boy, a member of Excuse actually getting a retaliatory takedown on someone else. Catching eyes on Kai, pulling a full-on Dave Mira out in the middle of an open desert. It's very vulnerable and risky, but he has not been spotted yet. But you know who is really going to be playing it safe here, and understandably so, is Bubble. Of the first round winners, I mean, he's got chicken fresh on the tip of his tongue here, and so does his teammate Trouble. But everything that they, worked so hard to accomplish in round 1 could be undone by an early elimination in round 2, so they're going to have to play careful. Well, Excuse getting another takedown off in the distance, and it does not look like it's going to amount to much more of a fight from there. But boy, oh boy, Treble is preparing, and it looks like Mr. Joker and Hawk of Gucci are kind of aware of it too. So, yep, shots have been fired by Bubble to take the attention off Treble, and he capitalizes, getting a takedown, but revenge served cold, fast, and on a platter as he is taken down as well. That's going to reduce the Tiny Fan Club currently down to Movement and Bubble. As Treble is currently knocked, that's going to be a tough start. They did lose Dusku at the very start of the match. Well, elsewhere, Rude Dudes and their immediate threat of Sacred Lotus preparing to face off, and as you can see, it looks to be Simp God at the forefront of that. Oh, and Treble has been eliminated off in the distance. All right, what else is happening on the playing field? There is one other potential threat on the board, and that would be for Team Rio Latin America. Specifically, we got Hamilton reasonably close to members of Third Eye, but I still am not convinced. Well, Lotus Esports going off in the distance. We can always get a second eye on that. It doesn't look like... Yeah, I guess they are going to be up in the thick of it here, but there's two teams of Lotus, and they have the same tag. Now, that's not going to work. We're going to have a little talk with them, but it does seem harmless enough. But, yeah, we'll get their fight up on the board here. It's Sacred Lotus, Insanity removed from the equation, leaving it down to Known and Core FPS. Core just trying to get meted up here, while Known does a little bit of the same, utilizing that vehicle for cover. Meanwhile, SimpGod trying to fall away from this immediate altercation. Alright, well, what else is happening? Well, looks like the main core Lotus Esports is going to be doing just fine. Full 4-piece. No kills to their name, but they still have plenty of time on the board. All right, so what's happening out in this western front? It looks to be a potential threat brewing up between Fishy of Wanted Vigilantes and the low ground holder of 10 IQ Esports' JBL. Oh, pardon me, that's not JBL. That is a... is that Korean or Japanese? I'm not sure. Well, either way, Fishy is fishing and heading closer and closer to it. He is probably already well aware of the threat here. And so his footsteps, you know, realistically aren't giving too much of a surprise away. But look at this. Tiny Fan Club off in the distance, just not letting their foot off the gas. All right, nades coming outwards from Fishy. Is it going to connect? It's a stun. And I think it might have. Let's actually switch over to who he's on top of. Ah, what's his name is down. My apologies. I thought I was going to be able to get to him a little faster than that. But we got to watch it from the first floor, I guess. Does look to be a pretty quick-paced match here. Regardless of it being a Miramar. We've got Third Eye preparing for an altercation with Team Rio Latin America, particularly with emphasis on Peaceful. The high ground holder here, he's going to go ahead and take out Rio's escape route by taking out those tires, and now aiming outwards with that 3X Glacier M4, trying to catch a line of sight on Day, and he does so, and, oh, Danny Z, pardon me, and he does so, dishing out a little bit of damage, probably taking his opponent down to about 3/4 of his overall health, but not enough to do anything long-lasting there. Looks to be outwards in the central portion of zone. Yep, it looks like the butterfly effect. The butterfly is flapping its wings, and we're just going to see what the outcome is as they prepare to face off against Nucleotide Vendetta. We got James at the forefront of this. Sorry about the render. Oh, and that is Axar being wrecked apart to shreds there. And that is going to put a real hurting here on Nucleotide Vendetta, especially on Kabir, who is now finding himself a ways away from all assistance and outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned against multiple members of Butterfly Effect. It's going to be a tough one, and I think he's got the right idea just by laying low and holding this positioning. All right, well, ladies and gents, you all know what we're doing here. It's 600 UC codes every single match. Now, as of this moment, once, they probably won't even get to this. I forgot to turn off the Twitch, but I'm going to be doing it right after I say this. Oh, we do have some kills on the board. It looks to be members of Lotus Esports eliminating whatever threat that was. Didn't come without a price. They did get Grandson knocked, but he's going to be revived. However, as you can see, off to the east, just south, I guess just behind Lotus Esports, is members of Exceed coming in as a full team. And yep, you can hear the vehicle approaching. Like sharks in the water, they smell the blood, and they are out for it. With a third party on the mine, we'll see if Lotus Chaos here can hold his own up against Selfless and Tekka. Ooh, Excuse having a tough go off in the distance as Kai is taken down and quickly eliminated, reducing him down to a 3-piece. And oh boy, actually, I mean, it's worth pulling up because at this point he's down to Draco alone. Everyone on his team just got wrecked apart there. All right, now is Chaos gonna be able to hold this, or is Exceed going to weigh the options and decide that the better route for them is to just migrate into zone? Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on Twitch, head on over to the YouTube. You will not have the redeem code provided on Twitch. It's linked, pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. And so with that being so, oh my goodness, Chaos just thanking his lucky stars as a nade rained down next to him, dishing out the damage, but not enough to take him out of the equation, but just sacrificing himself needlessly by just putting himself in front of that window. He just lined up to be eliminated, and now Lotus looks to be the deli meat in a peanut butter and trouble sandwich between Exceed and Trius. So, yeah, that is going to be a tough one. Any way you look at it, they're going to have to play this one pretty smart, but no time to waste, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. We got some UC codes to give out. This is going to be for another 600 UC. The code is CKEQZLEZUTC. Redeem that at the link attached to the top of the YouTube chat. Only one redemption available, but whoever gets it first gets 600 UC provided in their inbox immediately. All right. Well, this love triangle is a lumen. We got Rezo here trying to get Eyes' grandson just holding position, but here's the problem. You know, Trias has a huge high ground overwatch advantage over them, and that could be problems for both Exceed and Lotus. Oh, but look at this. It's only one member of Trias. It's a 2-1 split. This is genius. I really think that as a 3-piece, it's going to be tough to implement. And yeah, now it's even more so. With P2 taken down as well, it's all riding on Saku, and this is a big problem. And I think it's in Saku's best interest at this point to probably weigh his options and dip out of dodge and try to at least secure some placement for his team. But either way, Exceed in full-on fists with Lotus. And yep, Tekka getting a takedown on Rezo with that UMP 45 right there. And so now we got ourselves a 2v1v1 between these guys. Oh boy, grandson not ready to move an inch, and Saku actually gets third party by Team Rio Latin America. And if there's ever any point to be taken away from that, it is right here. Miramar is, as I said at the beginning of the match, it's very open, and you gotta be aware, not just of your immediate surroundings, but your distant ones as well. Well, Tiny Fan Club, at this point, a 2-piece of bubble and movement, but weakened, very weakened at this stage, and facing a potential gatekeep from the likes of Wanted Vigilantes. And that is probably the worst case scenario possible for them at this stage. Well, Exceed is going to get that elimination off in the distance. We're going to go on back just to see it, because this kind of thing can drag on for quite a bit of time, but it looks like Tekka is going to get another finish there as well. That's going to put him in a 1v3 handicap altercation against Team Rio Latin America. And yeah, it is going to be tough, but he does even the odds a little bit right there with a quick knock onto, I believe that's Daisy. And now Ice coming in with a chill in the air. And yep, that's all he's going to feel is that cold chill down his spine as he is sent right on back to the lobby. I am dad joking my face off. Okay, we are going to switch our attention briefly to the looming threat between the Fierce and Rude Dudes. Now, the Fierce hasn't had a lot of screen time yet today, and that isn't intentional at all. So let's get some eyes on him as EBK gets a nice overwatch positioning over Bangu. But look, Bangu utilizing that geographical cover, and he's got a boulder separating him from that bullet fire. However, a boulder isn't going to separate you from a nade if it falls down correctly. And, ooh, the butterfly effect in Just Esports having at it in the distance. I will switch over to that if it needs to be switched to, and it doesn't look to be the case. Butterfly effect eliminated that threat and have miles between themselves and the next enemy. Well, we got Mayhem and Scrims right on top of Rude Dude's Zeus and Simp God, but they are gonna have to watch their western side. Yep, and here is why. Scrims being fired on from the west by their other teammate in Rude Dudes, and yeah, that's gonna be Bangu coming in. Guns a-blazing. Zeus and his teammate trying to reposition a little bit here, and it looks to be a standoff here. Shix and Bangu might have to face off. But Bangu pulling an even wider flank here. Boy, he is really flanking. I mean, that is probably more counterproductive than productive, but we'll wait and see. Especially now that Zeus has evened the odds a little bit more. It's a 3v3, and now Mayhem is awfully hurt. Zeus and Simcod still very, very strong on health. But look out here, ladies and gentlemen. We have another team pushing in as we speak. Scrims in Mayhem are down. It's all going to ride on Shix here, who tries to even the odds, but Bangu from that high ground overwatch wrecking into him. No time to waste as Bangu is taken out as well. Danny Z just wrecking house with the 3x M4 in hand, and I think himself, Hamilton, and Ice are going to use this opportunity to capitalize on the situation, because now they outnumber Root Dudes 3-2. Well, if they're not going to, Danny is for sure. All right. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, it looks like the butterfly effect is going to be having at it off in the distance. Let's catch eyes on Kubi here, aiming outward with that 6x Mini 14 on to who, though? I'm not really sure who he was firing at there, but whoever it was must have been a distant threat. But Tiny Fan Club going at it yet again. We're going to get right into the thick of it here as Movement and Bubble fire away at members of Wanted Vigilantes and take Fishy out of the equation. They went fishing and caught one right there. And that is going to bring them right on up to 5 kills between 2 players. 80% of the kills riding on Bubble alone. All right. Well, Nucleotide Vendetta preparing for a potential altercation with Sacred Lotus. Now, Sacred Lotus could use a little screen time as well, especially given the circumstances here of them being reduced down to a 2-piece. They only started off as a 3, so they came in at an immediate disadvantage, and that really is going to be a potential conundrum here on a map as wide open as Miramar, and you're about to see why. Core and Known making their desperate great escape here on the buggy. Now, honestly, if there's any vehicle that you're going to want to try it on, as debatable as it sounds, I still think that is the vehicle for moving around and migrating Miramar as fast as possible, but it's not without a price, as we all know. We are seeing Core FPS being extremely vulnerable to bullet fire from his positioning, but he does make it there safely. And actually, Nucleotide Vendetta unintentionally helping Known out here by securing his backside and taking out that member of Region 8. But, oh, he's not out of the thick of it. We got a member of 10 IQ right here ready and waiting. Looks like, oh, no. What a sneaky desert snake we have here. Kabir working his way in, weaseling on into the equation, turning this into a little love triangle. And, oh, but pressure is being dished out. Luckily, he's got Marioso and the rest of the gang to come up and assist here. Readily equipped with that UMP-45 CQC Annihilator. Will it be enough? Oh, cooking up a nade. All the while, Region 8 shooting outwards, keeping the pressure on Lotus, and a little bit of retaliatory fire from the knock earlier. Well, that's going to put Known as the last hope here for Lotus, Sacred Lotus, and that's not an ideal spot for him to be in. However, Mario, if he focuses in on Known, is in for a world of hurt, because if he turns his backside to Attic, it could very likely mean his undoing. All right, making it rain a little bit of hellfire on this second story. He's going to make this desperate rush. He knows that time is of the essence, finding himself outside of the zone. Going to have to work his way in somehow, and the only way of doing that is taking this fight head on and eliminating that threat. Little preemptive UMP bullets hitting the wall, but nothing, no impact from it. Just using up his resources, but there we go. That addict has been sent to rehab right there. Rehab is the lobby. But they better be aware that it's not out of the equation just yet. The last hope for Sacred Lotus, a.k.a. Known, trying to make a great escape, but his location is ironically very well known. But even with the low ground, he's able to eliminate Mario of Nucleotide, so it's a 1v2. Unfortunately for him, Region 8 is also pulling up on the other side. This is a tough one. Marioso and Known about to face off right here and now, and luckily for Known, the play zone did a huge bit of damage. What the play zone didn't do, Region 8 helped assist, and he now finds himself alive, carrying the team's name on, securing some placement. As they are now down to 8 teams, he will get placement points. So, I mean, yeah, they got 7 kills and good placement. They're in a good spot. Now, as Known as just a solo, realistically, any attention he brings to himself at this point is a risk. And whether or not it's necessary is on a case-by-case basis. But here you see Just Shadow of Region 8 cooking up a utility for him, and this could spell the end. But not even close to the mark. Known's not even focusing on him. He's firing outwards at members of Rising Legend. Shadow has to have his feelings a little bit offended here. But don't worry, there's the attention you were looking for. And that shadow will not be cast again. At least not in the bright, hot Miramar sun for round 2. Where are we going to tune into? Well, Tiny Fan Club at this point with 6 kills to their name. Still that 2-piece as before. Movement is knocked. Luckily, Bubble is trying to remedy that situation as we speak. And ironically enough, he might have the chance to do it because Just Esports is very preoccupied. Gatekeeping the likes of Nami of Region 8, which they do so successfully right there. And now quickly reorienting the attention. We can also see one of Vigilantes and RSL preparing to face off. And ooh, the illusion is just an illusion. And that is quick work. The Rising Legends definitely rising up to the occasion and wrecking into that tier 1 competitor. So, guys, we are down to 4 teams spread across 10 people. We are down to the end game of match 2 of 3. Now, the advantage here would seem to have to go to Just Esports, but if you notice, Just Esports is also just barely, but still outside of the zone, and that is a real problem because they are going to find themselves vulnerable on at least 2 different angles, probably closer to 3 sides here when they try to work their way in. The good thing is that they aren't the most out of zone. That would be the Tiny Fan Club, the 2-piece of Bubble and Movement. And they're, you know, obviously weighing the options and realize that the only way to migrate into zone is to face this inevitable threat ahead of them, this 2v4 scenario of Just Esports. But boy, oh boy, the Rising Legends and Rude Dudes are going to face off. Rude Dudes at this point down to Simp God alone, and he is cooking up a nade, all the while Bubble of Tiny Fan Club getting an elimination on Rising Legends as well. And this is a unfortunate fact, ladies and gentlemen. These participants, if they are new to the DeadInMonth event, That's the only excuse, because it's been 2 years, but I boost that zone speed and that zone damage. We keep the ball rolling and the action popping, and we are down at this point to our final 2 teams. It's going to be a 1v3 scenario. Simp God of Root Dudes up against Just Esports' Chopper, Indy2, and ICT. I'm going to get a bird's eye on the alt view. Oh, no need. No need. Any way you look at it, that is game over. The dirty deed has been done. And Just Esports wrecking house, playing the slow play. They know this is a marathon, not a sprint. And even though there's only 3 matches, you know, they know how to make them count. And in this case, they did it with the old-fashioned slow play, meaning that they waited till the end game to secure the majority of their kills. And that's okay, because they had that full 4-piece to do so with. And you cannot place enough emphasis on being a full 4-piece come in-game, especially not on a map as wide open as Miramar. So congrats to them, getting that gold medal, first place chicken on the tip of their tongue finish with 5 kills between 3 of their players. Hey, nothing wrong with silver, as the Rude Dudes choir second with 7 kills. That's pretty impressive right there. We got the Tiny Fan Club with that gold medal first place finish, and then in round 2, a bronze medal third place, but with 7 kills on top of it. Boy, Tiny Fan Club is going to be a tough one to knock off their King of the Hill position in round 3. Now, that's not to say that they can't be undone. All this hard work could be just thrown out the window if Tiny Fan Club is eliminated at the very start of round 3. Still up in the air. All right. We got Rising Legends in 4th place with 4 kills. How fitting. Wanted Vigilante in 5th with 7 kills, half of which are between Fishy and Illusion. Region 8 going to be securing 6th place, but with 1 kill from what's his name. We got Sacred Lotus in 7th, but with, wow, 8 kills. 5 of those 8 came from Known alone. And we saw that a lot of those kills came in that last chunk, that slow play. He got a lot of those at the end game. Well, the butterfly effect is a little less effective here in round 2, but a butterfly flaps its wings in the desert, finishes in 8th place, gets the placement points, and on top of that, adds 5 eliminations to the equation. Well done. Team Rio Latin America is going to be securing 9th with 5 kills between Danny Z and Ice. That's not bad for a 3-piece. Nucleotide Vendetta, my apologies, I'm looking on the wrong screen. Nucleotide Vendetta going to be securing 10th, but with only 2 kills, both of which came from Mario. 10 IQ in 11th, but with 0 kills to speak of. Speaking of 0, we got Zero Remorse grabbing 12th with a big onion as well. We got the likes of Excuse grabbing 13th with 4, 3 of which came from Draco alone. The Third Eye was closed in 14th place in round 2 with 1 kill from Kun J. Don. The Fierce in 15th, but not a fierce number of kills. Big fat onion to their name. We got Exceed grabbing 16th with 5 kills total, but 80% of those kills, 4 out of the 5, are on the back of Tekka. That's a heavy backpack. Lotus Esports in 17th with 5. We got Trias grabbing 18th, but with 0, keeping up that trend. The 412 Nomads in 19th with 0. And then lastly, in 20th place, it's going to be Gucci with 2 kills, 1 to Matrix and 1 to Joker. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is 2/3 of the night done. We have seen our participants on the very first map ever of Erangel, then the wide open arid desert of Miramar. But what is going to happen when we conclude things with our 3rd round in that lush condensed forest? I am, of course, speaking about Sanhok as we return for our 3rd and final match of my very own RedEyes $450 Dead in June tournament qualifiers for Group B, brought to you and sponsored by Hunter of Gunmen, Glacier Gaming, Crafton, and Lightspeed Studios in just a few short moments. Stick around, we'll be back soon. Well, alrighty, everybody, welcome back to our third and our final round of the night for my very own RedEyes $450 Dead in June tournament qualifiers for Group B, brought to you and sponsored by Hunter of Gunmen, Glacier Gaming, Crafted and Lightspeed Studios, and we are going to be kicking round 3 off, as you guessed it, the lush condensed forest of Sanhok. Now, what do we need to say about a map like Sanhok? Essentially, the exact opposite of our last match, which was Miramar, our largest map. This is going to be our smallest. Now, technically, Livik, Karakin, and now the newer map, Nusa, all fall smaller than Sanhok, but we don't mess with those much in the esports scene at the moment. So this is going to be the smallest map that we're working with, meaning that the odds of two teams landing next to each other is just going to be a bit higher. But it's also the most condensed map that we have in the entire game. Now, what does that mean? Condensed meaning most lush in vegetation. There's more natural cover to take, more grass to hide inside, and trees and boulders to hide behind. So you're going to have to be alert for a higher than average number of snakes in the grass than usual. And the third and final thing is that the flight path is not as consequential as it is on a map as large as Miramar. Here you can get pretty much anywhere you want just by deploying your chute early enough. And already we are seeing some potential threats here. We've got members of Lotus, Sacred Lotus, pardon me, dropping alongside one of Vigilantes at Cow. Painan looks to be contested between the likes of Excuse and the opposition in... Oh, wow, that's going to be Third Eye. And further off to the west, we can also see a little cluster here between the likes of Exceed and the opponents in 412 Nomads. Meanwhile, the Tiny Fan Club already preparing for an altercation in the boot camp region up against members of Zero Remorse. So let's go ahead and switch on into that. If you're just tuning in, this is the final round. And ladies and gents, please, 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 by all means, if you haven't yet and if you appreciate this event, if you appreciate the UC codes, if any of that means anything to you, please consider returning the love and showing some support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I'm desperately trying to grow this YouTube, and it would mean an awful lot. All right, well, it looks like we are having some action off in the distance. It looks to be the Fierce facing off. I think we'll go tune in to that really quickly here, just to catch a quick glimpse. It looks like Schick was able to get a takedown on the opposition in Gucci, but boy, oh boy, was revenge dished out as Mayhem and Scrims fall to the opposition, and now Schick as well, leaving EBK as the final hope for the Fierce. All right. Elsewhere, we're going to have to quickly rotate because there's too much action or potential action on the board. Yep, just like that, Fishy, the wanted Vigilantes, getting a takedown, and not a moment too soon. They are reduced down to half their starting lineup as Onder and Ukinto have been eliminated. It's going to be riding on Fishy and Illusion. Luckily, Illusion already acquiring 3 kills, Fishy 1 as well. So they're in an okay place in terms of eliminations, but with half their starting lineup, they're going to have to dial things back a bit. All right, let's go check out this boot camp altercation here once again. Yep, it's movement of Tiny trying to put a little bit of cover fire here in place of his fallen teammate Dusku. And this is going to be a tough one. But the nade raining down on him, dishing out a huge load of damage there, taking him down to about 1/4 of his overall health. He's going to have to heal. Meanwhile, we got the gunner on the roof here, Mr. Bubble, trying to pop everyone else's bubble. Treble taking a bit of a hit, and boy, a bit of a hit turns into a knock real quick. Movement taking some serious damage as well, reduced down to just above half health, but is able to retaliate and finish off Menace, finish off Zero Remorse, and will be able to revive his fallen teammates Trouble and Dusku. It is a good start here for the Tiny Fan Club. All right, now they really put a risk by dropping out boot camp that start. I mean, as I said at the end of round 2, they could still have all their efforts ruined by being eliminated at the beginning of round 3, but they risked it. You got to risk it for the biscuit, and that kind of confidence is necessary in Tier 1 competition, and so I totally respect that decision. All right, now, while we, have this little bit of thread here, we can see a little something potentially in the works here between what remains of the Fierce, which is EBK, and this 2 or 3 piece here of Gucci. Now, if I were EBK, I'd be trying to lay low and let those numbers dwindle, because if there was ever a map that you could do it on, Sanhok is, as I said, geographical cover overload. Well, we're going to switch our attention to the likes of Excuse. It's one of the guys getting a takedown in the distance, and on none other than our tiny fan club, boys. So looky here, with that position, 6x, Imp4 at the ready. Dusku's down, leaving it reliant on bubble, movement, and trouble. And boy, Kai, in a 2-2 split, this could be huge for Excuse. If they're able to implement this split and pull off a tactic, I've coined the term the BOA method, but it doesn't look to be the case. It's not even worth talking about here, because the other two members of Excuse are facing their attention towards Team Exceed and the Nomads. And I don't understand why, when the other half of their team has such a great lock on members of Boot Camp, the Tiny Fan Club. So you know what? We're going to go check in on this little altercation between Exceed and 412 Nomads just for a moment here. As you notice, Bubba has the knock, but quickly being revived. However, KX is the sacrificial lamb that took the attention for that revive to happen. So it's not really a trade up. When one member was revived, another member taken down, and they're no better for it. So it's down to Yusuf and Bubba. Bubba taking a lot of damage from that molly. He is a burning bush. And Yusuf, however, is able to get most of the damage in there for Bubba to finish the job with that takedown. But finding himself weakened to the final member of Team Exceed and just clinging to a sliver of life here, about 1/10 of his overall health, by the hair on his chin. Can he make it and get this heal off? If he does so, it's a mistake on Tekka's end, but very likely could be because of this encroaching threat in the Rude Dudes. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. And we're hearing vehicles. Yep. Oh, boy, the remainder of the Rude Dudes. It was a 2-1 split. Beautifully executed. Can Bubba pull off a 1v3? It would be all odds stacked against him. And the answer is a resounding no. Alrighty. Here's something to pay attention to. EBK of the Fierce. Is it something to pay attention to after all? Well, debatable, because he's been holding position here as this solo for a while, but the Gucci boys have encroached on his personal space. And so, yep, nades are being thrown, his attention is his location is compromised, and he's going to have to face this threat. Now, as Gucci holds the number advantage in their favor, I'm not sure that they know that, though. And that could explain the hesitation on their end to advance aggressively, but here they come. I think they're starting to catch an idea. And, ooh, the takedown by EBK executed pretty darn effectively, as he still has about 3/4 of his overall health, maybe a little less than 3/4 to speak of. He's got pretty decent odds here, especially with Ahmad putting his attention towards a revive rather than facing off against a weakened EBK. Well, EBK feeling the pressure on his shoulders, may not be performing at full peak here, but Ahmad can't say much better. And in this case, it's a battle of people missing shots, and EBK ultimately falls to the high ground holders of Just Esports. All right. We're going to go switch our attention to Nucleotide Vendetta. Still currently a full 4-piece, but a bit weakened as Kabir is knocked, leaving it reliant upon Marioso, Axar, and Mario. Well, Marioso trying to dish out some bullets towards the Lotus Way, but not finding him very effective. Well, ooh, but however, the fan club and the butterfly effect going at it with one another. Let's check in on it. Tiny fan club already with 4 kills, still a full 4-piece, really showing their experience and their colors here. And Kubi's giving it his all, but that butterfly's wings aren't going to be enough. Cloudy, even with the DBS, outnumbered, outmanned, outgunned, and it's going to leave everything reliant upon James, and I think James has the right idea by dipping on out of dodge and trying to secure some placement for his team. Now, I know that we all are very eager for those UC codes, but as it's the last round, we are going to wait until the last match. Now, when you guys see the match has ended on your stream feed, I would like you guys to please give me a little bit of assistance, as my attention isn't really on the UC. So just send me a reminder to release the codes. I'm going to set an alarm on my phone, but we'll do that at the end of this match. All right, well, we're going to go check in on the last member of Lotus Esports, Grandson. Grandson currently in a bit of a fair fight scenario, but he probably doesn't know it. He's in a 1v1 conundrum with Nucleotide Vendetta, but every moment he wastes is a moment that Nucleotide teammates get closer to their solo. And I don't think he's trying to draw attention to himself, as you can see. So we'll go check in on Excuse versus Trias. We got Noob, Saku, Kura, and P2 here. Both P2 and Kura have a great opportunity here to to utilize the element of surprise onto Third Eye. Now, the issue is that once P2 does fire, you know, it's going to be a ticking clock. Wow, clicking talk. A ticking clock from that point. As you know, Third Eye has a lot of options, still a full 4-piece, and they could even do a 2-2 split, a 3-1 split. However, if they were to be just oh so daring, they could face a big problem. Up in the northwestern portion of our screen here, we can see a member of Excuse, a heavy hitting team. We got Rosh here with a high ground of Overwatch over all of Third Eye and Trias. All right. Well, hey, P2 is going to make his great escape, but the bullets are raining down on Trias right now, taking Kura and P2 both down to a little bit below half health, actually. But anything else happening on the playing field doesn't look to be the case. So, while we have a brief moment of downtime, we're going to go over the format one last time. Now, we have 20 teams competing in these qualifiers. Of those 20 teams, 4 teams will advance to the $450 finals. Now, we run 3 rounds of qualifiers, so that's 12 qualified teams that will face off against the 8 invited Tier 1 professional teams, where they're all going to be duking it out on the 28th for that $450 prize. Now, if anyone were curious as to how you could register for this event, well, the link is currently at the top middle of the screen. RedEyesOfficial.com will forward you directly to my Discord server, the RedEyes Den. All right, well, Trias encroaching upon Lotus Esports right now, and boom, 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 boom. But Revenge served cold, fast, and on a platter, and Trias is going to carry on with their first kill of the match. No time to waste, especially if you're Nucleotide Vendetta. XR feeling the pressure as nades just falling and crashing against him, and it's a molly to finish the deal for Nucleotide. Great effort, but it's not going to be enough. And it's actually Marioso. He naded himself. Oof in the chat. All right. Well, the last hope for Gucci is going to be ammo here, and boy, you know, attention is probably very much on him at this point. I think it cost some bullets for him to eliminate whoever he did recently, and that got the attention. Sharks in the water are rude dudes, and they are encroaching on his bubble. It's a 2v2, or pardon me, a 2-2 split against Gucci, so a 4v1, and that's not a good position for Animal at all. Boy, I don't think Bangu actually does know of Anmo's positioning. And Anmo really playing the patience game here, because he had a very clear line of sight on his opponent, Bangu. But I think he made the right call by being... Oh, I'm wrong. Whoa! The caster curse, ladies and gentlemen. That is the caster curse of all caster curses. Boy, I'll give him a sliver of a compliment and get proven wrong. Alright, where is our next bit of action going to come from? Well, if we zoom in, we can see members of Rude Dudes they're actually swimming inbound across the water. You guys probably can't even see that from where you're at. Please zoom in. Yeah, it's actually going to be a tough go for them. Just at this point, they've got to be fish in a barrel. However, the Tiny Fan Club taking a bit of a rough go, and the distraction of Just Esports. So we're going to switch to that and see what's happening. Well, Chopper has been chopped apart, leaving Jaikun as the last one for Just Esports. And may have also it in the brief moment that I said his name. So, Zeus in a fish in a barrel scenario as he is being torn to pieces here underwater, just being picked apart. But all these shots from Excuse are drawing the attention of the Tiny Fan Club from across the waterway. And a third party could be a saving grace from PUBGesus himself for the Rude Dudes. Alright, well, Draco and Kai facing the thunderstorm of bullets that rain down on them. Now Rosh and Kai remain, and this is going to be a tough one. Luckily, with that bit of vehicle cover and this utility, it might be enough to get the cover they need for this revive to hit. And boy, talk about luck. The zone edge faring in their favor. All the while, Kai provides the overwatch and cover fire for his team against the Tiny Fan Club, dishing out some moderate damage out towards Tiny Fan Club. Movement taken down to about half health, but nothing to really signify any permanence. However, Dusku back up and about in the equation, able to contribute to what Rosh was doing, and some unintentional team assists. Well, that's going to be Rosh and Kai. One of the Kais has been eliminated, but one Kai remains. And can he get to a position of safety in time? Doesn't look to be the case. And boy, it's a RedEyes tournament, all right. That's boosted zone damage. Rosh dealing out the damage, but it's not going to be enough. Too little, too late, and falling just a bit short. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has a higher KD than that blue zone. No time to waste. Tiny Fan Club thrown out of the frying pan into the fire as they now have to face the Rude Dudes head on. Well, movement is going to get revived right here, and just in time to be taken right on down again, leaving it relying on Dusku, Trouble, and Bubble. Dusku in charge of revive, Trouble providing overwatch and very effectively with it. Looks like Region 8 having at it in the distance. And take notice, give credit to where credit is. Region 8 is the only team holding this new zone. The advantage is very much in their favor at this stage. Now, Tiny Fan Club holding on to 19 kills as 4 teams remain. There's no stopping this absolute powerhouse of a team. They are, I mean, you hate to use the words dominating the playing field, but sometimes it's fitting, and they are dominating the playing field. Full 4-piece team with 19 kills to their name. Just an unstoppable force. Alright, now with no shortage of utilities, Trouble is going to begin utilizing them right now, and it's a good time to, but he's also getting an additional assist unintentionally from the hands of wanted vigilantes coming in and encroaching on members of Region 8 as they had that high ground. That's prime real estate, and they want it. And with wanted vigilantes illusion making the utilities reign over Region 8, they're taking the attention off of the Tiny Fan Club, giving them a great opportunity for Dusku to come in with a powerhouse of a third party from hell, and I bet he's going to be able to do it right here. 1. And he's too preoccupied with the thirst. It was all in his hands to get a 1v3 there, but he was too preoccupied with sealing the deal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we approach Our final end game of the night is 3 teams remain. A 2v2v2, a fair fight to end our third and final round. Let's get it on. Alright, getting a map view from high in the sky. We can see just the spread as it currently stands. And boy, oh boy, Illusion outnumbered here. The shots being dished out by Trouble, a Tiny Fan Club, not really meeting the mark. Boy, talk about wanted vigilantes catching a saving grace. Looks like Tiny Fan Clubs returning the favor that wanted vigilantes gave to them just moments before, and now taking the attention of Region 8 off of Fishy and onto them, unintentionally, albeit, but hey, take your blessings where they come, Fishy. Oh, the nade from Trouble. Now Fishy finds himself in the biggest opportunity. A 1v2, just by laying low and staying still. He was able to put himself not only get those extra placement points, but have a shot at taking the full thing. But as we saw, it did not work out in his favor. Outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. But let's not discredit the wanted vigilantes. Ain't nothing wrong with Silver. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, any way you look at it, it's definitely game over as Tiny Fan Club absolutely annihilates the entire playing field. There's just no other way of putting it. Decimating the entire playing field. They just took their second gold medal first place finish of the night. That they won 2 out of the 3 matches with an 8th place finish, I believe, in round 2. But the first match, I think it was 11 kills to their name. Second match, 8th place finish, but with like 7 or 8 kills. Now ending the night with, count them up, 23 kills. Ladies and gentlemen, we started with less than 80 players total. They took out over 1/4 of the entire playing field in this match alone. And boy, it was no heavy backpack on any of their shoulders. They all contributed almost evenly. I mean, if they were in need of a confidence boost, they just got it. They are in full form tonight, and I hope to see if they can, maintain that kind of momentum and confidence. Don't let it border on cockiness at the finals, because when those 8 Tier 1 professional teams join the party, you are nothing special. Every other qualifying team worked just as hard as you to get there, but those 8 pro teams, they are doing it for a living. And that is not to be taken lightly. They're very, very good. Do not underestimate them. However, phenomenal performance on their end. Phenomenal. One of the best performances I've ever seen in a qualifier. Great job. All right, Region 8, third place bronze medal finish with 7 kills. 5 of those 7 going to Nami alone. All right, but I just remembered, ladies and gents, do not worry, do not worry, do not worry. For it is time for the UC code giveaway. Yes, 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 yes. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, the final UC code for the night, ladies and gentlemen, is... Hold up, let me make sure Yes, okay, I did. I lost the source here. Final code for the night is, here we go, CKEQZLFZH6T. Now you will be able to redeem that at the link at the top of the YouTube chat. Only one person can redeem. I wish I could give 600 UC codes to all of you every single match as a thank you, but unfortunately that's not the case. But this is what we got. First one gets it. First dibs. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wait, we're not even done going over the scores. Goodness gracious. All right, so I'm pretty sure whoever is going to redeem this code has got them all typed in by this point. So Uh, we are going to say Rude Dudes in 5th place with 4 kills. 10 IQ grabbing 6, but with 0 kills to speak of. That's going to be a tough one. They get the placement points, but that's not going to be enough. Try Us in 7th place with 4 kills, half of which go to Saku. We got Team Rio Latin America entering as a 3-piece, coming in at an immediate disadvantage, but still managing to get at least some placement points. Don't be too impressed, though, because you can see how they did it by that slow play thing, and they weren't able to make it to getting those in-game eliminations, as I'm sure they intended. Excused in 9th place with 2 kills from one of the guys, but no placement points. We got Just Esports grabbing 10th with 2. Gucci in 11th with 3. The Butterfly Effect, not very effective in this 3rd round. 12th place with 0. We got Nucleotide Vendetta, 13th with 1. We got the Sacred Lotus in 14th with 1. The Fierce in 15th with 3. 412 Nomads in 16th with 3. Exceed in 17th with 2. Zero Remorse, ironically, another 18th place finish, but with 0 kills. And keeping that trend, we've got the Rising Legends in 19th with a Big Onion as well. And finally, in 20th and last place, it's going to be, you know what? I think that this actually might be Sacred Lotus just because of Core being on their team. I could be wrong, but my apologies if this is Sacred Lotus here, but I'm going to say it's Lotus Esports in 20th and last place with 2 kills from Known. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is that. The deed is done for the night. That is all she wrote for the Group B qualifiers for Dead in June. But hang on, hold your horses, because we still have another qualifier ahead of us 5 days away. This coming Monday, it is going down. The Group C qualifiers, Monday, June 26th, 8 o'clock p.m. EST. Enough need be said. There's still a chance to qualify for this. And then, one more. Let's do one more. Hit him with one more air horn, RedEyes. At 808. I'll tell you why, because 1 week from today, ladies and gentlemen, it is all going down. The $450 finals, 1 week from today, beginning at 9 o'clock p.m. EST, and broadcasted exclusively on the YouTube. Yeah, and I might, just maybe, have a big surprise. If you were watching the Dead in May finals, you might have an idea. Maybe, just maybe, there might be some extra UC codes, like theoretically 3 times as many UC codes. Maybe theoretically we're going to be giving away, I don't know, 10 UC codes, hypothetically speaking. Come tune in. It'll be a lot better odds. Well, I don't want to waste anyone else's time. We had a great round of qualifiers today. It's been an absolute blast, an honor and privilege to cast and commentate these for you guys, I should say. I want to give a huge shout out to my 3-piece staff, Tiny, DeAsia, and Christy, who are the real bosses of this show. They run basically everything. They do everything behind the scenes, and really, out of the goodness of their hearts, for more than anything, I promise you, I do not pay them anywhere near enough for it to be a fair trade of services. No, they're doing this for the community itself. So huge shout out to DeAsia, Tiny, and Christy. And DeAsia for getting tonight's screenshots. I really do appreciate that. Guys, we'll be back on Monday with the Group C qualifiers, and 1 week from today with the $450 finals. I'm RedEyes. I'll see you next time.